Dead by Daylight is a game. A really, really big game. Some scientists believe if you unpacked all of Dead by Daylight and rolled it out like a rug, it'd spread out across the whole of Scotland, except it'd somehow be even colder and sadder. And this game is full of very big things, like Raccoon City Police Department, and Nemesis, and other things that aren't in Resident Evil, and sometimes very small things, like Chucky's cock or the Jonah player base. But the world is full of even bigger things, like whales and whales and whales. And sometimes the guy who runs Dead by Daylight, John Behaviour, decides to try and squeeze in something extra big indeed into his game, like Five Nights at Freddy's, and that guy from the meme where he looks really sad. Fortunately, some of these characters are made up, but Dead by Daylight isn't a stranger to adding real people into the game too, like Nicolas Cage and Dwight Fairfield. But I've had an idea recently. Dead by Daylight is a game rated PEGI 18, meaning there's no children or people under 18 playing it at all. So maybe when we talk about upcoming licensed characters, maybe we'll start looking away from kids' movies like Peppa Pig and instead add something from some proper telly. Something like Gogglebox or Dragon's Den or the Eurovision Song Contest. The 2013 one, obviously, the rest of them are shit. But when I watched the informative wildlife documentary Cunk on Britain, I had a brainwave, which is pretty much like taking a really hot shower but for your mind. When I watched the brilliant Philomena Cunk take me on a journey of discovery and learning, I felt this void of emptiness in my soul, and like the only option was jumping out of my third floor window onto the cold, unforgiving concrete below. Naturally, I immediately thought of Dead by Daylight. So join me, William P. Bush, as we look through the work of Philomena Cunk and the potential and problems of letting her come into Dead by Daylight as a survivor. Dead by Daylight has long been trying to appeal to an international audience. We've had countless anime collaborations designed to appeal to a Japanese market. Attack on Titan, Junji Ito, and now Tokyo Ghoul. Actually, come to think of it, 3's not that hard to count. What do you know? But despite Behaviour's best efforts, Dead by Daylight has never really broken through to the British player base. If you really wanted to spend our evenings in a benighted realm of horrors where everyone calls you slurs and you're probably going to get stabbed, then Manchester would have way more Airbnbs. To try and get the British players on side, Behaviour definitely needs to do more player outreach, try to appeal to things that the British public likes, and they're already taking steps to do this. As we can see, whenever 2v8 comes round, they've really mastered excessive queuing. And when you play Survivor, you can smash the French, the Scottish, and the Irish over the head with bits of wood, which has been a proud tradition for the past 900 years, and continues at football matches and F1 Grand Prix to this day. But the only thing we love even more than nationalist violence, the remnant of imperialist rivalry, is documentaries. For as long as the BBC has existed, which stands for British Broadcasting Corporation on some websites, the documentary format has been a vital source of information for the British public. In the first half of the 20th century, people couldn't watch the news or check Twitter to learn what was going on. They had to make a manual version of Twitter, in paper form instead. But as you can see in that one Doctor Who episode, more people started to buy TVs in about the 1950s. But surprisingly, it wasn't because aliens were trying to eat your face with them. Instead, it's because people wanted to learn stuff, and the BBC started making programmes to help them do it, and they started by inventing nature documentaries. Nature was discovered by a man called David Attenborough in 1979, about 7 years before the debut of seminal British sitcom Brushstrokes. To have it, he had a job at BBC television studios lying around, and what he found got recorded and made into Life on Earth, a documentary series where he whispered at animals having sex or eating each other. He became a sort of early days YouTuber, a bit like Mr. Beast, except the beasts were real and not just in his name. David Attenborough is widely considered to be a national treasure here in the UK, which makes adding him to Dead by Daylight a little bit challenging since Nick Cage is in the fog and will probably steal him. Plus he's so old and crumbly that the twins might think he's made of flaky pastry and try to eat him in desperation. It's not their fault, we've all made that mistake before. But that does make the idea of bringing David Attenborough into the fog, as popular as it would be, a bit far-fetched. Besides, I don't think he'd have time to do all that running around anyway. He's a busy man.
The wild species has got long quills coming out of his tail. And what he does is to turn round and then flick his friend across the face with his quill.
Oh, that wouldn't work with me at all.
It would.
The upside down and whistling.
I can show you later.
But in 2013, there was a new figure in the world of informational television, or Intellivision for short, or Inton for even shorter. The legend herself, Philomena Cunk. But greatness doesn't come from nowhere. Just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, she rose up to international fame from an underground scene under the tutelage of her master splinter, Charlie Brooker. Unlike Master Splinter, Charlie Brooker is not a rat grown to human size by a weird green ooze you can buy in Toys R Us, who teaches his 4 reptilian sons the art of kung fu fighting, but instead a human, non-mutant writer with a big chin and no kung fu skills, which is unfortunately much less cool. Charlie Brooker is mostly known for Black Mirror, which he started in 2011, and it marked a huge step forward in documentary filmmaking. Some scholars say this is the first time in Channel 4 history where they're making documentaries about events before they happened. Charlie Brooker followed up on the success of Black Mirror not by making way too many episodes of it, but by also making a ton more shows, including Charlie Brooker's Weekly Wipe in 2013. The Weekly Wipe was a meeting of minds from the great and the good of British current affairs, and a lot of the country's prominent pundits got their start here. Barry Shitpiece, for example, covered a lot of political news on the Wipe, and if my research is correct, he now works as a plastic recycling bin at the Daily Mirror. But hands down, the breakout star of the Weekly Wipe was Philomena Cunk on her regular segment, Moments of Wonder, where she asked the big questions to the foremost commentators of the age.
What is a building?
A building is anything that anyone has built.
So my shoes are a building.
Even before pulling a Robbie Williams on Weekly Wipe's Take That, Cunk showed the kind of mettle it takes to be a survivor in Dead by Daylight. Not Mettle of Man, that's more Ash Williams' job. She's never been afraid to get to the heart of the issue and pitch challenging questions to the experts she finds, who are regularly taken aback by her insightful queries.
So did they make the tools with their front legs or their hind legs?
Well, I don't think humans have ever been very good at making things with their feet, so yes, it would have been the front legs that they used for making tools.
Right, so in leg terms, it would have been their top legs.
Such as Philomena's popularity that she eventually got her own shows, starting with Cunk on Christmas and following up with Cunk on Britain and Cunk on Earth, which is my favourite in this series because you can actually tell it was filmed on location on Earth. Cunk on Life came out in December 2024 and represents Cunk taking more of a jump into philosophy. She's dropping her floppy intellectual cock on David Attenborough's desk, and his silence on the topic is truly deafening. It's easy to see the appeal of Philomena Cunk in Dead by Daylight when you understand all of the challenges Cunk has conquered, or conquered if you prefer, in her time making the Cunk On series. Her keen inquisitive mind has thrown off some of the greatest names in modern academia with her burning questions.
We expand our brain's capacity by having a wide thought, like picturing a ladder being held sideways.
Probably not.
She would definitely fit in alongside the many survivors who were experts in their own fields, like Alan Wake, the famous writer, or Leon Kennedy, the professor who's spinning roundhouse kicks. But her intellectual curiosity is matched by her physical adventurousness too. Philomena has travelled the world with the tirelessness of a Victorian explorer. Hell, she's from Bolton. I'm pretty sure if she found herself in a dark realm of fog monsters and serial killers, it would feel just like home, wouldn't it? And some people will invariably have issues with the presenter of a documentary as a survivor, but the way I see it, that just isn't a concern. The requirements to be a killer in the fog are fairly restrictive. You just have to actually be able to kill people, and call me an idealist if you like, but I just don't think most people have it in them. Could you really kill someone, impale them on a meat hook and sacrifice them to some weird spider god thing? No, I don't think you could. Which is why the only killers we have in the game are the ones egotistical enough to film themselves doing it, like Michael Myers. Recording himself killing all those people on Halloween night and sending it to cinemas. Like, what a dick. But with survivors, the possibilities are a lot more open. Anyone in the world right now is a survivor, unless you're dead, in which case, you're probably not. We've already got a documentarian and a podcaster in the fog already, so why not go one step further and add the documentarian of our modern times? But despite all this potential, there's a pretty serious problem here, because getting Philomena in Dead by Daylight might just be too dangerous to risk. Presumably the miniaturization process has got to hurt, so they can fit her in the game. And what if they drop her or something after she gets all small? They might lose her behind the sofa or something, then where would we be? I found what happens when someone gets put in the miniaturization machine and just look at them. Look what it did to Jane's face, that shit's messed up, man. Nah, it's not safe to add Philomena herself to DBD, it's just too risky. But I've had an idea. Why don't we get an actress in to play her instead? It wouldn't be the first time behaviour has had to substitute stuff in place of the real thing. Look at the Alien chapter. I don't know who this person is or how much cocaine they've been taking to have their eyes jammed open that wide, but I'm pretty certain it's not Ellen Ripley. And don't tell anyone, but I don't think the Xenomorph is even played by a real alien. Yeah, I know it's messed up. They got a human DI hire instead. The fucking wokes got to our video games again. Well, At least Fortnite got it right, indistinguishable from the real thing. If we can't have Philomena Cunk playing herself in Dead by Daylight, then I suggest an alternative. An actress who might be capable of capturing enough of the character to make it work in the game. The British comedian Diane Morgan. Diane Morgan has been part of the British acting and comedy circuit for quite some time. For a while, she was part of a sketch comedy duo called 2 Episodes of MASH with that guy from The Lighthouse, and then she went on to appear on Mock the Week, Would I Lie to You, and Have I Got News for You? The Bermuda Triangle of British panel shows where countless pundits have gotten lost in self-satisfied imitations of satirism, and she's currently starring in the Netflix sitcom Mandy. I tried to look it up, but I already found this movie where Nick Cage kept killing a bunch of people. Maybe more people can be killers than I thought. But beyond her acting career, Diane Morgan might be Philomena Cunk's biggest fan, and is quite well known among Cunk's viewership for it. She regularly appears alongside Charlie Brooker and the other production people behind her shows, and even does a pretty good Cunk impression sometimes.
Wouldn't it?
That would be
Ask him about his rocket.
It's not amazing, but it's definitely alright. Diane Morgan would be a solid portrayal of Cunk for Dead by Daylight. But what could Philomena's perk do if she ever made it into the game? I have some perk concepts here for your pursual, so take a look. Our first perk is Boone Fieldwork.
I'm entering a cave, not by mistake or because I'm a wolf, but because I've been specifically asked to come here by the producers.
Every 60 seconds, a loud noise will play to the killer from a locker, generator, vault point, or drop pallet inside this Boone's radius, on the same floor as the Boone. If the killer enters the Boone's radius within 10 seconds of this happening, the aura is revealed to all survivors for a short duration. Our second perk is Singular Curiosity.
Why do humans need to believe in something bigger than ourselves? Is it so we don't feel quite so fat?
Whenever you fail a skill check on a generator, Singular Curiosity activates. Whenever you touch a regressing generator while Singular Curiosity is active, the generator immediately stops regressing, gains an instant bonus progression on top, and Singular Curiosity deactivates. And her last perk is Rephrase the Question.
Now, is Britain at an important moment in history, or a significant one?
I'd say really important.
Not significant.
Well, both.
What if you had to choose one?
Important.
Not significant.
Just because it's important doesn't mean they can be both. They can be important and significant.
Not in this.
You can see your own scratch marks, and your footsteps and grunts of pain are silent when you're running on top of your own scratch marks. This effect lingers for a short period once you leave your own scratch marks. I believe these perks do a good job of expressing the character of this monumental figure on the world of natural history. After all, if there's one way to easily and concisely express someone's personality as an interviewer and documentarian, it's their playable perks in a video game about running around a bit of wood. Philomena Cunk is a legend of the modern era. Not to try and exaggerate here, but she might be the single greatest person in human history to ever have been born. I'm uncertain if they will ever get round to adding her. Maybe one of these days, the silly game devs in Behaviour Canada will pluck up the courage to ask, and Philomena Cunk can become Dead by Daylight.